Who are on the panel? Smitty's biased. I'm biased because I kick people that insult women. Okay, yeah, I'm biased. You're absolutely right, H. You're
He's a
absolutely
coconut.
100% right. I will always be biased against people that insult women. Yes, I 1,000% biased. Go ahead, Michelle.
Morning, fam. Did you get that
Morning.
peacoat? Good morning. Did you get that peacoat? I'll leave that there. Anyway, listen. I was the one that dropped. We will absolutely not do that today. I'm gonna remind y'all this is Smitty's live, not his daycare. I came up to ask a question of General, and thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Thank you guys. Make sure you like, share, do all the things. Do your daily heart. But y'all in the chat are being super duper disrespectful. Like borderline, like I rarely ever mute. I rarely ever drop anybody. Please abide by TikTok guidelines. Y'all are doing too much in the chat. General, I had a question for you, and I don't know if this is just organically kind of leading to this. I see a lot of people, especially, we're going into midterms, that are expressing that they're not going to vote for anybody who doesn't call for you know, abolishing ICE, right? Totally get it, totally agree, stand on that. But if we take that out, much as to the chagrin of people who said calling for doing away with the police, right? There has to be something sensible in its place. And I heard you kind of mention, well, I have some ideas. Any thoughts on that? On where you can see where we can push politicians to, because everybody has their ideas. You either are for it or you're not. We're seeing a lot of people coming out and expressing, disdain for what we're seeing, rightfully so, getting out there, doing the hard work, protesting, using their platforms, kind of like what Smitty does every single day. Any ideas on some realistic or sensible things that we can push politicians to do as we're coming up on these primaries?
So real quick before you answer that, hold that answer. I do want to prioritize getting folks up who support ICE. So if you support ICE, we've got, how many people we have in the request? We have 20 people in the request. There's got to be at least one or two that support ICE in the request. So if you do, put a 1 in the chat. I will get you up, right? There's a lot of people that don't, that I'm not pulling up, that I'm sure want to speak as well. So if you do support ICE, you're in the request. I will let you up. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead. If you want General to answer that. All right. We got quite a few that. Let me see if I can find you in the request. Oh, there's one. Okay. We got one. Oh no, right. No, you good, bro. It's all good. It's all good. Funny enough, there are quite a few people that support ICE that really like this platform to the one person that talks shit every time he comes in. But I'm gonna let that go. Go ahead. Let's go General, and let's go Christian. General.
Yeah.
Let's let General answer that question, and then Christian will get your first opportunity.
Sure. Yeah, I'll try to respond as briefly as possible. My thoughts pretty radical. Like, this would take a massive overhaul, and like, I acknowledge that. But like, this is the immigration system we should have built from day one. As I was talking about earlier, two of the things that are felony conduct that you can be charged actually with a felony for are unlawfully crossing the border and then being deported and coming back again and being caught back in the United States. Practically speaking, the second one, crossing back into the country after going through a lawful removal process, is extremely rare, right? Those cases are actually extremely rare. Also, I'm getting to an answer. I'm just kind of setting up the background. Also extremely rare is the Department of Justice actually being able to successfully prosecute and convict of a felony a person for unlawfully crossing the border, because you have to have evidence, right? Like you have to have evidence of that person coming across the border, right? And it could be photo evidence, it could be video evidence, which is very rare. It could, of course, be, there's inferences, right? They could take a case to court and spend their time prosecuting that case and lead the jury to make the inference that, okay, this person, they never came here with papers. It's not like they're overstaying a visa. They must have crossed the border somehow, right? So the practical reality is not many people are charged with a quote unquote crime for being unlawfully in this country and become felons for purpose of being here unlawfully in this country. I believe that we could rewrite the federal statutes around this to actually make them mean something and make people who are here unlawfully more willing to comply with our immigration laws and more willing to leave on their own by criminalizing different conduct. So what I would do, practically speaking, if I could like magic wand overhaul the whole system in one go, is I would replace every single ICE agent. Every single ICE agent would become a state attorney that is responsible for, in civil court, bringing cases, bringing before a magistrate judge orders of removal for anybody here unlawfully that the state wants to remove.
Okay.
And what a civil court would do is then issue something called, this is not a thing right now, but something called a final order of, not even deportation, but like a final order of unlawful presence. And that would be an official order of the court, then remaining on U.S. soil for whatever it is, 6 months, 4 months, whatever it is, after you are issued a final order of unlawful presence, becomes a felony. That's easy, right? That is very easy to prosecute. A DOJ attorney has to show up in a courtroom for 10 minutes. Yep,
So,
he's still here. There he is. Yep, he has a final order of unlawful presence.
so real
Felony,
quick, General.
right?
Hate to cut it. I know you want to explain it thoroughly. I just got to let these other people get in. I appreciate that. I'll give you more time.
No, it's all good.
Yeah. No, but I appreciate that, because Lord knows we have people that give explanations and I'm very confused. So I appreciate that. Also appreciate all of the Swan Raiders. Thank you for coming in. Swan, you know how I feel about you. Thank you so much. Appreciate all of y'all coming in. Let me go to Christian, and then we'll go to House and World. Give me, I believe both of them support ICE. I want to give them both opportunities to speak. Christian, tell me, what are your thoughts on ICE?
Are you able to?
Yep. Oh, we had you for 1 second, then we lost you.
Hello?
Yeah, there we go. Now we got you back. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I wanted to respond to a couple of things. Number one, I do support ICE.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess one of my reasons is going to be because I am a big supporter of law and order. I'm aware that this is not the first push to get the illegal immigrant situation kind of under control here in the United States.
Undocumented, please. We don't say illegal on this panel. It's undocumented.
Okay. Yeah, undocumented. Well, I mean, whatever's your preference. I know this is not the first push to do this, and this is not the first administration to push this. I know a lot of people kind of question the way in which we're going about it, but just because it is a little bit more, I would say, I guess, forceful and more executive, I would say, I'm not opposed to it. But I did have a question for, I believe her name is Carolina. You spoke about
Carolina. Yep. Go for
Carolina.
it.
Sorry about that. You spoke about the difference in the acceptance rates for people who come from predominantly white nations as opposed to Latin America or Hispanic nations. And number one,
Latin American, they're not Hispanic, but also African. Yeah.
Got you. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly what you said. I want to know, why is it that you think that is? Do you think that that's strictly based off of race? And what do you think can be done about that situation?
Yes, I do think it's based solely off of race. I mean, this is a white supremacist nation. We are, ever since the invasion of Europeans onto our land, this has been an issue. And so we can look at several reiterations of attempts to quote unquote whiten America. We're seeing that right now. We saw it in the 1950s and the 60s and the 70s. Like, this has been a major policy. So this is the way that they get away with doing things without explicitly saying we don't want black and brown people here.
So,
They find these loopholes in order to do so.
so do you feel like, and this is just a question, you can tell me if you disagree or not, if you don't disagree. Do
Yeah.
you think that any of that can be due to the different just legal requirements for certain nations, why they may or may not be applying for citizenship in the United States in comparison to people applying for work visas or student visas, as opposed to humanitarian relief or fleeing because they're, in fear of their lives or things like that, and the risk of one place, one group of people overstaying as opposed to a different nation, and just, do you think that that has anything to do with it, or is it strictly based on skin color?
So I
So
think I
let's do
understand
this
your
real quick,
question.
y'all. Go ahead, Carolina. Go ahead and answer that question. Then I do want to let House come in and then Swan come in.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead. I like the
So-
dialogue. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, in short, it still ties back to race, because is that a mitigating factor? Yes, but it still goes back to race, because we have to understand what the United States is doing in these specific countries to destabilize them. So, for instance, Guatemala, primarily indigenous American country. The majority of people who come from Guatemala actually come from indigenous communities there. The United States destabilized them. The United States overthrew their leader. And has, been the main impetus in the civil war that was driven there, and has contributed to the genocide of indigenous people in that country. So people begin to flee and they come here, but they don't provide those protections or any type of asylum for people coming from that country. When it comes to, so for instance, even within Latin America, because there's all races living in Latin America, Cubans were given preferential treatment, but specifically white Cubans, because the white elite Cubans were the ones who, quote unquote, fled because they didn't want to, give up their property or give civil rights to black Cubans. And so they wanted to come here because they were against the revolution. And so they were given preferential treatment. So everything still ties back to two things: the United States interests in those countries, and also it's race-based. So while we can sit here and say that, yes, people coming from XYZ countries are more than likely to overstay their visa, it still ties back to race, because there's a reason why they're more likely to overstay their visa. And it's because they are prevented the proper channels from being able to migrate legally. And I am an immigrant rights advocate. I've worked with several people through the immigration system, and I've personally seen this. You have people who will come from Latin American countries, and they will be here for decades without being able to gain citizenship. They want citizenship. They want to have the paperwork, and they are denied that route over and over and over and have to jump through extra loopholes. Whereas people who are predominantly white will come here and they get boosted to the front of the line. I've witnessed this personally in several immigration courts across the country. So I understand the question, but it still always ties back to race.
Okay. Real quick, Christian. Yeah, let me. I'm gonna try to work you back in, but I want to let House get their first opportunity and Swan. But I'll work you back in to keep the debate going.
Okay.
And I appreciate your very respectful tone. I definitely appreciate that. Let me go to House. House, tell me why do you support or not support ICE?
I do not support ICE. So I think I want to preface this by saying I do not support ICE sounds extreme, but I support law and order.
Okay.
I support that the government, there should be a due process, and that due process should treat everybody equally. What I do not support is when ICE is being used to target a specific group of people, and then they have to exercise that same laws and rules on behalf of the government when it's not honoring what the Constitution was made for, which is not to be discriminatory and treat everybody equal. And so I believe there should be law and order, but I do not support that the way ICE has been behaving against brown and black people, especially in Minnesota. If you do not see what's happening on TV, if you aren't directly affected or impacted by the people in your life, if you're not directly impacted and the people in your life are not impacted, then it's easier to dismiss and say, you know, ICE isn't really terrorizing neighborhoods. But what ICE is doing has caused families to change their entire daily life and routines. It has made people like myself, who have never distinguished myself as an American and a citizen, to feel like, wait, where is the president going with this? And why are people now attacking me just by walking in Sam's Club? And so I don't want to take up everybody's time, but I do believe there should be law and order. But what ICE is doing is not law and order. And
So let me ask you a
uses-
question. Good morning, Sunshine. Let me ask you a question. So, did you support ICE before the Trump presidency? Is that what you're saying? But you don't support what they're doing now? Is
No, it's not that I supported ICE before the presidency. I do believe that in any country, there has to be an immigration policy, right?
Okay.
I think that it's unrealistic to say there should never be immigration policies.
Okay.
I think, but at the same time, what we have defined as an immigration in ICE, I don't think that's what their job is in every other country around the world. And so we now have ICE taking on new laws and new power that wasn't supposed to be enforced by Border Patrol in the streets of Minneapolis,
Got it.
which I don't agree with that.
Could I add something quick to that?
Yes, it's got to be real quick because it's Swan's time, but go ahead, real quick.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That idea that what ICE is doing is not law and order. It simply is not. It's a facade of strongman law and order, but it is not law and order. I mean, we have the Canadian Prime Minister getting up on the global stage worrying about whether or not the United States is still a rules-based society because of everything we're doing right now. I mean, it flies in the face of law and order.
Okay. All right. Thank you, General. And House, I appreciate your perspective. I am looking for someone who does support ICE, but I want to give you, I'm glad you were able to get that opportunity to speak. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for coming up. I'm going to let you go. Christian, if you want to say something really quick, then I want to go to Swan. I want to give you an opportunity.
I guess my response was, for Carolina. Just to double back, you were saying that everything kind of ties back into race, even outside of, whatever technical aspects it might be. And the second part of my question is, what do you think is the solution to that? Right. So if everything is going to tie back to race, no matter what, and they may, sugarcoat it with all of these other policies and red tape, what is the solution, right?
I'll
just let you.
So real quick, let me, I think Swan may want to answer that too. Carolina, I'll give you an opportunity. I just want to get Swan worked into the conversation.
Yeah, I'll go after Swan. That's
okay. Perfect. Swan, what do you think? What do you think about that question?
Yeah. Sorry, Christian, you have some feedback. If you don't mind muting your mic.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So, okay. Y'all already know what I'm going to say. This is about white supremacy, and this is a maintenance phase of white supremacy. America is an imperialist nation, right? We thrive in capitalism. And when you reach the peak of capitalism, you are going to engage in imperialism. So what happens is we go into other people's countries, we take their resources, we exploit human beings, right? And then we end up taking their destabilizing their economies. So people from these countries are trying to follow the resources. They are not coming here because they want to harm us. They are not criminals. They are not, excuse my trigger warning for this, they're not rapists. They are coming here because they are following the resources, right? And when they get here, they're still being exploited. ICE is an extension of that Western American imperialism, exploitation, right? We charge them thousands of dollars to become a citizen, or they may be forced to to make a living in order to survive, they end up working under the table, right? They're not making as much money as they could be making. And those of us that are citizens don't even make enough money as it is, right? But they're still they're still not able to get certain like access to certain things like SNAP benefits and things like that. Like there's a process for all of that. It takes time. We also have a backlog when it comes to how we handle the process. We do a terrible job. The United States is the one that's in the wrong. ICE agents are in the wrong. We are in the wrong for this. I hate to say this, right? But the last sister that was up here and spoke and said something about law and order. No, ma'am. Law and order is a dog whistle. What that means is white supremacy is going to show you that they have a monopoly on violence and that you can never do the same. And that you must understand that you must obey and that you must comply. That is what law and order means. Law and order always means, right, that black and brown people are going to be sought after. Law and order doesn't apply to Donald Trump, does it? Does it apply to people in his administration? Law and order doesn't apply to these ICE agents? Not the one that unalived Keith Porter, because where's his arrest record at? Did he get charged yet? No. The black woman that they ran off the road, pulled out of her car, totaled her car, didn't offer her any assistance, right? 10 ICE agents pin her to the ground while she screams, "I have my identification." And then they take her and they throw her in their car. What about the 6 children, right? Where the ICE agent threw a flash bomb into the vehicle and sent all 6 of them to the hospital. They are able to do things and use force that is not necessary. It's not necessary. I'm going to ask my question. I'm going to keep asking this question. If y'all hear anybody else ask this question, you know they got it from me. What has changed about the behavior of people who are undocumented that warranted this response from ICE agents that is so inhumane and is also being backed by this administration and has nobody checking them? Not one person is checking them, right? And to add insult to injury, the amount of propaganda that has people believing that this is the left or this is just people that are agitators, people that are trying to protest, that they're being harmful to all of these ICE agents. No. When you hear or when you see that a woman is pew-pewed, a man is pew-pewed and taken from his children, right? When you see children ending up in the hospital, when you see them going onto private property when they're not allowed to go on private property, when you see that they have been harming children in custody, they've been harming women in custody, right? They're accusing people who have their paperwork and saying that their paperwork is fake. Of course, people are going to protest, and we should protest. If you're not protesting, I'm looking at you sideways. This is ridiculous. ICE is not necessary. They're harming people, and they've always been an extension of Western and American imperialism. We're going to exploit them in their land, and we're not going to allow them to succeed in our land either. We got to create this codependent relationship so that we can consistently exploit them. And I'll land there for now.
Okay. Thank you, Swan. Let me let Christian, if you want to get a response into that. I am looking for someone else who does support ICE. I see a lot of folks who do support ICE in the comments. You may be in the request. If you are in the request as well, put a 1. We can get you that last slot. I typically only let up 6 content creators. I've got 5 up here now. I want the last slot to be filled by someone that that supports ICE. So put a 1 in the comments, or just let me know that you support ICE and you're in the comments. All right, let me go to Christian. I'll let Christian respond, and then we'll go down to Carolina.
I'm gonna actually pass the mic to Catalina if that's cool.
Okay, sure, go for it. Carolina, anything you want to add to that?
It was before Carolina. Sorry, it was nice talking to y'all. I got to head out.
Okay. Hey, General, thank you so much, man. Yeah, I hope you come back.
Thank you. Thank you all. It was nice hearing from you.
Okay.
Thank you, Swan, sis, for that response. I fucking love it. I we feel the exact same way. So I love that you always keep asking that question, keep asking them, because we have yet to hear anybody be able to answer it coherently. So I'm going to preface this, Christian, by saying I want everyone to be aware that I am fully aware that I am extremely radical in my viewpoints. Okay. I do not pretend to sugarcoat it. I don't even pretend to think that how I personally would approach this is what's going to be feasible. Now, me, as an American Indian woman, and I come from tribes on both sides of the border, but I'm a U.S. citizen. I want the complete and total abolition of ICE, and I would really prefer if we stopped allowing Europeans into this country. I think that we should probably send some Europeans back because we didn't invite them in the first place. And I know that that sounds like drastic, right? But coming from my perspective, you know, my people are the original people of this land. We have been reduced to less than 2% of the population due to genocide and U.S. imperialism and manifest destiny and the introduction of Christianity. All of these things have deeply impacted my people. So I'm not going to have an unbiased opinion on this. I fully am aware of that. I do not think that it is okay for white people who do not belong here to be the arbiters of who gets to be here. Specifically, especially when we talk about Latin Americans, all races live in Latin America. But for like Mexico and Central America and some other countries specifically, the majority of people who are coming from those countries are racially American Indian and have more of a right to be here than they do. We had trade routes between indigenous tribes throughout the continents long before the Europeans ever invaded. So I am aware that my opinion is not, you know, what I would like to see is probably not going to happen. However, that's what I would like. Now, to go a route that's probably more realistic, yeah, I think that for one thing, we need to immediately, it's so multifaceted. We have to immediately end U.S. intervention in Latin America and Africa. We have got to tell our leaders it is not our business what is going on in other countries and to stop interfering in democratically elected processes. We have to stop exploiting these people. We have to stop funding genocides. We have to stop overthrowing leaders. That's number one, because we can't sit here, create a problem, and then complain when people come here. As Swan so eloquently stated, when we have a country like the United States, which is exploiting and extracting resources from this country, where do you think the people are going to go when they're starving and fearing for their lives? They're going to go where the resources are going. So we could be doing some sort of a more international, humanitarian effort to stop these actions, to be able to support marginalized people in other countries so that we are not causing this economic and, survival strife that is leading to the immigration processes. But on a final note, we have to make it equitable. We have to absolutely make it equitable and stop giving preferential treatment to white people or those who are elite in other countries, or simply allowing people who we think are going to be a benefit to get here. If we have an issue with people coming here undocumented and these people are doing everything they can just to, provide for their families and gain citizenship, then we need to allow that process.
Okay.
It's going to exacerbate the problem if we don't.
All right, thank you guys. Real quick, Christian, let me just get Jeannie's first statement. I'll come back to you again. And then again, I am looking for one more person that supports ICE. Please put a 1 in the request. Actually, let's do this real quick. Let's do this real quick before we get Jeannie's first statement. If you do support ICE overall, even if you're in the chat, you don't want to come up, put a 1. If you do not support ICE, put a 2. Let's see where the chat is overall. Go ahead. And Christian, if you can mute up for me, that'd be great. Yeah, let's go to Jeannie. Jeannie, how do you feel? Do you support ICE or not? Jeannie, are you there? Can you hear me? Oh, Jeannie, last chance. All right, I think Jeannie might have requested on accident. We're gonna let Jeannie go. Okay. All right. So quite a few folks that do support ICE in the request. Give me a second, you guys. I'll try to get somebody up that does support ICE. Christian, you can go ahead and respond now. Go for it, man.
Just in response to what you were saying, Carolina, I don't really know another place that I can go and thrive, just as a black man outside of America, right? And I'm well aware that of America's history, and of course we don't have a clean slate, but it's just my opinion that this has been going on long before me. And if it's not America, I feel like it's gonna be another country. And there's a lot of things, like this kind of goes back to, I guess my initial question was like, there's a lot of things that are just not within our control when it comes to the administration, whether it be this one, the last one, or the next one. Like, you know, people are still going to go into other regions. They're still going to be like, we're not all going to just get along. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's unrealistic. And so I guess my question is like, why would we not support our country in our efforts, whatever that may look like? You know what I mean? When I feel like other countries, there's, you could never go to another country and set up shop and create capitalism and just, you know what I mean? And just stay as long as you want to and, commit crimes and have, such due process before, like, it's just not realistic.
Well, hold
you
on.
know?
Now we're veering off, and to respond. So number one, I'm really confused also about the pro-American stance from anybody who is Black or Indigenous. I'm not pro-American, and this is my land. Yes, I'm a United States citizen by default, but I'm not pro-America. I don't support the colonizers. So I always find it kind of odd when people say we don't have a clean slate. Like, you have been affected by imperialism and colonialism as well. So wanting to identify so badly with the oppressors, and I'm not saying that in a hateful way, it's just very odd to me. I understand that we have gone through a lot historically, both of our groups, but I've never at any point in time wanted to assimilate to the enemy. And I'm anti-capitalism, so that's not going to, be a selling point for me. But there are plenty of other nations where people are thriving. I think this is the myth of American exceptionalism, that, the propaganda that we receive in this country to believe that we are better than all other nations. There are plenty of other nations that are thriving much better than we are. Free education, free healthcare, cost of living is lower. The quality of life is higher. Life expectancy is higher. So like, I can't, it's a faulty premise for me, to be honest, because there's just no truth to the myth of American exceptionalism that we are better than any other country. And yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. I just don't understand wanting to identify with the enemy. I don't get it.
I don't know.
Let's let Christian respond, and then we'll go to Nichelle and we'll respond.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's identifying with the enemy, and I don't really, like, me personally, I don't have an enemy. You know what I mean? Like, just my experience, and I'm not saying that like I'm ignoring anybody else's issues or what else is going on in the world, but like, I don't wake up with an enemy. You feel me? But I am aware of where I am, where I've been born, the opportunities that I've been afforded. And it's like, I'm also not going to, like, I can't identify with another nation or another country that I've never been to or I've never lived in. So it's like, who do I identify with? You feel me? I was born here in America. Like, no, my country it's not perfect, but like, I don't know another country to say, oh, like, I'm fighting for this cause. Like, I wasn't born there. You feel me? Like, so I'm not necessarily, I don't know what you mean by identifying with the enemy or, like, I don't know. I guess I'm just not as radical as you might be when it comes to my views on
Okay.
the colonizers.
Okay. That's okay. Let's let Nichelle jump in, and then we'll go Swan, and then we'll go Aquan 90.
So yeah, so there are two Black women on this panel, Christian, and I guess from my perspective, and I do actually appreciate your perspective. I'm a little confused too, but I also agree that, listen, the Black community is not a monolith, right? We're not all, Angela Davises and Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King's or Malcolm X. I understand that. I guess I'm not sure what your experiences have been, but I don't know. I guess I'm just so confused, like, by what you're saying. You're saying I don't have an enemy. Where would I go? I mean, you can stay here and push for the advancement of our community here, and you don't have to do that at the expense of, the immigrant community. I mean, that's also an option too. So, like, I guess I'm just kind of confused at, you're like, oh, what do I do? Who do I fight for?
Well, I'm not
I don't have
necessarily.
an enemy.
I don't want you to think that I'm like against the immigrant community, but I know that if I commit a crime here, no matter what, like they're not gonna have any. If I'm selling drugs, like nobody's gonna have any sympathy for them coming to kick down my door, even if it was like I'm gonna be prosecuted, bro. Like if I so much as don't pay if somebody doesn't pay child support here, they're gonna be prosecuted. Like these people, just because they come from other countries with other hardships, I don't feel like where like it's. I just feel like it's misplaced
But
sympathy or empathy.
That's
Wait,
not.
hold on, Carolina.
Oh yeah.
Hang on, Carolina. I'm so sorry. Okay, Christian, I'm sorry. What was that last part?
So I'm saying I feel like it's misplaced. Like, why are we? A crime is a crime.
what's
Like
misplaced?
we've all had. My community's had hardships and things that we've had to deal with and overcome, and we might have done some things out of survival. But like, if we get caught or if we commit crimes, bro, we're gonna be prosecuted. There's not this overwhelming sense of sympathy because like somebody has to feel bad for it. Like we're gonna be prosecuted. Why are we giving a pass to someone else who might have had hardships as well, but they come from somewhere else? Like,
Okay, I get what you're saying now. Now, thank you for clarifying that. Okay, I get what you're saying now. But I don't understand why you're putting that. That's not what's happening with the ICE agents, and that's not what's happening. And you're comparing it to the experiences of, say, you as a black man or me as a black woman, and you're kind of projecting that onto the immigrant community. That's not, though, what's happening with ICE. Do you understand that? You're comparing our experiences as an American black person, right? And you're projecting that, though, as if it's an apple to apple comparison on the immigrant community. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I'm saying that there's even in our community and in the immigrant community, like there's going to be some people who have like I'm sure there's some people in our community who were innocent and they were wrongly targeted. I'm not saying that doesn't exist as well, but there's a lot of people in our community who committed crimes that they needed to be held accountable for. And I'm saying that same dynamic exists when it comes to undocumented immigrants. Like people, like I'm asking what's the difference and why are we prioritizing them over us?
Okay.
Let me do the show. Let me let Swan come in because I just want to move up the panel and get the two new panelists' perspectives. But I want Swan to answer, if you don't mind, Christian's question, and then I want to let the two new panelists come in because I don't quite know where they land, so I want to give them an opportunity.
Yeah, Christian, I think the problem is that let me ask you this. Do you understand what systemic racism is? Just a yes or no would suffice. Christian?
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to mute Carolina. I think Carolina's off mute. Go ahead.
Sorry, you said yes. Do you think anybody can be racist? Just a yes or no will suffice. Christian?
Yes.
Oh, you do think anybody can be racist? Okay, so here's the problem. I think listening to what he's saying, he's not able to understand what it is that we're trying to communicate because he doesn't necessarily understand how these systemic issues work, right? When we look at the criminality of Black people here in the United States, it all started after the Emancipation Proclamation, 1865, where Black people were sold this idea that they would be freed, right? That they would have places to work and places to go, when that's not the case. We know about the Devil's Punch Bowl down in Natchez, Mississippi. We know about sharecropping, how we were just tricked right back into being on the plantation. We also know about Black codes and vagrancy laws. What people need to understand about the United States, and this is why law and order is directly tied to capitalism and white supremacy, imperialism and all these other things, laws are rooted in white supremacy, right? When we were arrested for certain things, it wasn't necessarily because we were bad people or we were trying to commit crimes. It's because the United States literally left us out to dry, slave masters received reparations, but Black people did not. There were Black concentration camps in Natchez, Mississippi, where so many people who were freed, quote unquote, unalived, right? So that's a problem. So when we talk about ICE and what they're doing and how they're going after people, they're demonizing, dehumanizing, and criminalizing a group of people who were not as they're not criminalistic at all in any way, shape, or form. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that they're not, right? You would
Even
be
the ones
safer.
who committed crimes,
Hold on,
like
hold on.
they're not criminals.
Please let me finish. You would be safer living in a community amongst undocumented migrants than you would living amongst white men. The ones who have taught you how to think the way that you think, Christian. The ones who are making you think that even the people that look like you are more criminalistic, right? They're the ones that are the problem. It's not undocumented migrants and it's not Black people, right? The powers that be also, right, want to remain in power. So what they do is they dehumanize a group, they scapegoat a group. So they've got you looking at a group of people sideways who are committing the least amount of crime here in the United States. I am not saying that if people do something harmful, they shouldn't be held accountable for that. They should. But if you truly felt that way, then why are you not condemning ICE agents? Why are you not condemning ICE agents? Because they are the ones that are they're wreaking havoc on American people right now.
Well,
So for all of y'all that are, hold on. Chris, let me finish,
Go ahead.
please. For all of y'all that are all about this whole law and order thing, all of y'all that are all about people going about things the correct way, why are you not condemning ICE agents? Because they are not going about this the right way. Again, I'm going to reiterate the fact that Keith Porter, a citizen, a Black man who was unalived by an off-duty ICE agent, they still haven't arrested the person that unalived him. Even when it comes to police officers unaliving someone, there's an investigation. They get put on leave. ICE agents have been given the green light to do whatever it is that they want to do to people. And it's a problem. And that puts all of us in danger. Everybody here is subjected to it, whether they want to admit that or not.
Okay, let's do this real quick. Let me, Christian, give me 1 second. Hold on to your answer. Let me let Equan 90 and then Mrs. POV get an opportunity to come in. Equan 90, what are your thoughts on, do you support ICE or do you not support ICE? Equan 90, I think Equan 90 might have stepped away. Let me go to Mrs. POV. Mrs. POV, do you support ICE or not?
I do support ICE, actually.
Okay.
They're doing their job. This has nothing to do with Black Americans. And I just don't understand the call for trying to get us involved in this situation at all. It has nothing to do with us. Like, there is no justifiable reason for us to be going out there protesting against a federal agency that is doing their job that half of Americans voted for twice. So let's talk about how before this, besides the fact that this agency has already existed, they're not a new agency, number one. They're not brand new. They've been existed and been doing this. Black Americans have nothing to do with immigration or illegal immigration. The delusion that we should be involved absolutely needs to stop. It's ridiculous. Let's talk about how Black faces who are not Americans, foreign Black folks and foreign people of color, Latinos, who also voted for this. We're sitting there talking about, oh, they're going to get the Black Americans deported way before ICE was in the streets and in the media. It's like people forgot that we were the target the whole time. So it's just baffling to me. Like, it's like y'all want us to completely dismiss all the things that were said about us. You want us to dismiss how we were preyed upon. So maybe most of the immigrant community doesn't commit crimes. That's obviously a fact. That if anyone's saying that is telling a lie. Most of the immigrant community does not commit crimes in America. That's true. But they do infiltrate and affect our culture locally. We have seen the effects locally, block by block, about how we're affected by immigration, period, point blank. So maybe
Mrs.
it's
POV, one
not
second.
criminal or illegal. Or are you speaking, sir? Because
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah, I want to let you continue. There was just one piece that the chat flagged that you might have gotten incorrect. So I want to let Swan respond to that specifically. But I'll give you more time to be able to express the rest of your view because I do want to hear your perspective. But let me just let Swan address this one piece, and then I'll let you get the rest of your time, Mrs. POV. Go ahead, Swan.
Yeah, I think the problem is that you're saying that they've always been after us. I don't think that what we're saying means that we're taking away from the plight of Black people here in the United States. What we're seeing is two groups being scapegoated and two groups of people being exploited. So I think it's like, and nobody also said anything about ICE like not existing before. Do you know when ICE was created?
Okay, let's let
After
Mrs.
9/11.
Yeah. Real quick, Deuce. I'm gonna come to you next. Give me one second, bro. Let me let Mrs. get the rest of her time. Go ahead, Mrs. If you want to respond to.
Yes, I'm not talking about the takeaway and the exploitation. I'm addressing what Christian was saying and why people were acting confused about what he was saying. That's what I'm addressing. There is no logical reason as to why Black Americans need to be involved in this. Y'all keep saying that we're next. They're going to be targeting us. No, they're not. No, they're not.
Smitty,
The
Hold
question
on,
It's
real
the same.
quick.
It's the same
Okay.
threat.
I got
It's
you,
this-
Catalina. I got you.
Okay.
I feel like she's just expressing her opinion. I don't necessarily call that misinformation. I feel like she's just expressing her
No,
opinion.
there
as to
was
what
some
she's-
Yes, I am just expressing my opinion.
Yeah, there was some misinformation, but I'll hold off.
Okay. Give me 1 second because I'm gonna come to you next, Catalina, after I go to Deuce. Okay. Let me go to Deuce. Deuce, your opinion on why you support or not support ICE, and then Carolina, you'll be next.
Well, yeah, I definitely support ICE, but let me speak to something I think one of the ladies said about living around white people. I was really offended by that because for one, I am a Black man, okay? And I'm married to a Caribbean Black woman who's from St. Lucia, who actually came to America the legal way. And I met her in America, in Texas. We live now in Ohio, and I met her in Texas. And she graduated from college. She got her master's. She did everything the correct way and came to America legally. Okay. And she is very successful. My wife is very successful. And now we've been married for 5.5 years and we bought a home here in Ohio that we've been living in since 2023 around a lot of white people. Some of those white people are in their 70s. Okay, white people who help us. My white neighbor who is like the same age as my father, who's 70 years old, has taught me more things about taking care of a yard, about cutting down like my trees. He's let me use tools. They've done all types of things to try to help me, a Black young man. I'm 39 years old with my Black Caribbean wife, and they have been very, very helpful, very helpful. And there's no racism. There's no funny acting stuff, nothing like that. And we feel very safe. Matter of fact, I just came from the Caribbean with my wife, and our white neighbor picked us up. And we landed at like midnight, and they said, hey, we'll pick you up. Don't even worry about it. And they picked us up and dropped us off. We haven't had any problems with none of the white people that we live around in our neighborhood, and it's predominantly white. Okay, we don't feel threatened or nothing like that.
Okay, just give me 1 second. I think it was Catalina that said that. So let me let Catalina respond. Just as a time check, you guys, real quick question. Give me 1 second.
Sorry, I was the one that said the stats about living amongst
Oh, you
white
did?
men.
Oh, okay, perfect. Oh, it's Swan. So let Swan respond to Deuce, but real quick.
Man, can I get in there?
Everybody know. Hold on, y'all. Real quick. Let me just make an announcement. I've got about 30 minutes. I got to catch a flight I cannot miss. So, in 30 minutes, we're done. So please tap the screen. Let's finish strong. So panelists, okay, I'm going to be a little bit stricter with time, right? And so please be able to express yourself, but I am going to be a little bit stricter with time. Taylor Twice, the best mod on TikTok, is in the house, or one of the best, I should say. I'm going to get in trouble. One of the best mods on TikTok is in the house. Go ahead, Swan, your response.
I'm dropping, fam. And I'm taking my pea coat with me. I'm taking my pea coat with me. Look, Southern, get up here and check your boy. Check your boy. I know, right?
I was like,
Don't leave us.
it's gonna be. Listen, hey, if one of my mods reposts, y'all never see me again. Okay, especially if it's Cali. Listen, I'm gone. Okay, y'all be like, what happened to Smitty? Y'all make the memorial. Get the t-shirts
Cali.
ready. Get the t-shirts ready.
Probably coming for that neck.
Cause I'm gone. All right, let me go. Let me go to Swan and then Catalina.
Be
Somebody
super,
just dropped
super
the
quick.
whole.
So, Deuce, the reason why I brought that up was because it's true. Like, even when we talk about something like, trigger warning to the audience, is something like CSAM, right? White men make up 30% of the population, and they are responsible for 81.3% of the convictions of engaging in and producing CSAM, which is child sexual assault material, right? So what I had said was, and this is sure, two things can be true at once. You can have your personal experience amongst white people who treat you good. You know what I'm saying? The Mangos is strong. Okay. I want to know what color the shoes are. We get it. But the reality is that statistically, right? What I said was statistically in the United States. So this is not just your experience, but it's the whole United States, that we would be safer living in community amongst migrants than we would be with white men. That's what I see.
Okay, thank you, Swan. Let me go to Catalina. Do something, get your work back in. Let me go to Catalina, and then I'm gonna go pro ICE against ICE, right? So we have a conversation. But let me let Catalina come in. Go ahead, Catalina.
Yeah, so I echo what Swan says, and again, I know I know y'all who don't like me are about to really not like me. I don't trust any black or brown person who feels comfortable around white people. That shit's weird as fuck to me. It's bootlicker behavior to the max. It's just disgusting, and the level of self-hatred it takes to be comfortable around these unwashed colonizers is crazy work. But anyway, moving on. Last time I checked, your wife was probably able to immigrate here the legal way, probably because the United States, to my knowledge, hasn't destabilized St. Lucia. Yeah, and I think we could look at the GDP and the economic situation in St. Lucia and understand why she would be able to immigrate here the right way. So using that, I mean, it falls in line with your wanting to be one of the good ones type of behavior for these colonizers. So I'm really not surprised by it. But going back to Mrs. point of view and the kind of FBA rhetoric that we were listening to, yeah, so nobody on this panel was sitting here telling any group of people to get involved in these protests. That wasn't even a topic. I love how it always diverts to that portion. Nobody was mentioning anything about getting involved in protests. Nobody was asking anybody to show up for anyone else, not even remotely. We do know that black people are being targeted. There have been several United States citizens who are black and or brown, including American Indians as well, who have been illegally detained by ICE, who have been assaulted by ICE, who have been unalived by ICE, Keith Porter being one of them. So it is happening. It's not fear-mongering. I think if your question is whether or not that deportation is up for it, okay, fine. But they're not following the law. So it is weird to make a statement like that. And I mean, you also said this is what people voted for, and you said they're doing their job, but they're not doing their job, actually. They're actually in violation of federal and international law. So you can't really do your job if you're committing crimes. I'm not sure how that tracks with everybody. The constant, demonization of the immigrant community, but not having any smoke for these white colonizers is just bizarre to me. It's absolutely bizarre. We can go down the crime rate. We can go down who is deeply impacted, what white people do to these marginalized communities here versus what immigrant communities do to here. There are no statistics to support any of the nonsense that you guys are saying. So I'll be happy to go statistic for statistic. But yeah, I mean, it just really gives assimilation, brainwashing, colonization, and being agents of white supremacy.
Okay. All right. I'm really glad I got 30 minutes. I don't know if I can take this hate from the mods. The mods are revolting. Anyway, let me bring it back. This is a very serious topic. Let me let Mrs. I think Catalina was
No, Christian can go.
And then, okay, you want to go to Christian? Let's do Christian, and then I think Deuce also as well. Carlitos, thank you. Go ahead, Christian.
See how he skips a mod? Y'all see that? Look at that. That's all right.
We
handling
have some
you in the
back
chat.
and forth,
We
y'all.
handling you in the chat. Don't skip me. Go ahead on, Chris. I'm just playing, Chris. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Christian. Then we'll go to my mod.
I gotta agree with dude. This is just the reality of it. I've lived in everything from immigrant communities, black communities, and I've lived in white communities, and I can't say that I've felt more safe in a white community. More safe in an immigrant community. I definitely don't feel more safe living in predominantly black communities. That's as a black man where 9 times out of 10 something is gonna happen to me before I'm in somewhere in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, or somewhere like that. Like, I mean, that's just the reality of it. You know what I mean? And also, I'm going to say this: anytime that, as a black man, that I was targeted or I had something going on or any interactions with the police, 9 times out of 10, I was doing something or I was somewhere where I shouldn't have been. And that's just the reality of it. And I think as soon as black people stop keeping with this narrative that, you know, we're always being victimized and that, you know, every time something happens that it's racial profiling or profiling from the police department, like, I think that's one of our biggest, the biggest things that's plaguing our community right now.
Okay. Let me let Nichelle respond to you, and then I want to go to Deuce. Okay, so we'll go Nichelle, then Deuce. Taylor, thank you for the money gun, Taylor. Much appreciated. Go ahead, Nichelle.
I swear. Oh my God. I'm gonna deal with you later. Tay,
Go ahead.
live, rise. Anyway, I can't even believe you did that. Much appreciated. Oh, okay. Listen, I think this is interesting, Smitty, and I've said this a million times before. The Black community is not a monolith, and while I am disappointed in some of these takes, I'm listen. If that's your perspective, that's your perspective. There are a lot of African Americans who feel exactly the same way as, you know, Deuce, Mrs., and Christian do. I'm safe in white spaces. We're the victims. Why do we need to get involved? It's very FBA coded. I get it. I get the pain points. But I think it is a micro view, right? And to kind of Swan's point, there's a macro view, right? There's a bigger perspective out there. And listen, for everybody in the chat that's like, oh, kind of cheering it on or trying to cheer, whatever. Listen, you're not going to have me up here. I will disagree with African Americans, but I'm damn for sure not going to tear them down. That's just not my MO. We can look at the civil rights movement. You had all kinds of different discords. Now, the difference, in my opinion, is that we had a unified goal of what we were trying to do. What I'm concerned about this conversation, Smitty, is that we've got factions here that are that it's not, you know, it's not like, oh, we all agree on this one thing for the Black community and the advancement of the Black community, and we disagree on how to get it done. I'm seeing fractions that are happening, and I think that is detrimental to the advancement collectively as the Black community.
Okay. Thank you, Nichelle. Let's go to Deuce. Go ahead, Deuce. You'd like to jump in, say something. You're on mute if you're speaking, Deuce. Oh, did somebody mute Deuce? Let's see. Hold on.
Okay, can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we got you. Go ahead.
Okay, so first off, I want to say that I find it quite interesting that, you know, I'm on here with people that's advocating for people of color to come into this country. But while I am an American, I was just called a bootlicker and all types of other names, you know, which I find is completely disrespectful, which I haven't said anything disrespectful to anybody on here. And that was definitely directed to me. So, you know, I actually find that to be, you know, quite amazing. Secondly, with speaking on my wife coming into this country and all those different things and talking about St. Lucia, you don't know if there was a cap or whatever the term that you used about coming over to St. Lucia, from St. Lucia to America. Anywhere that if I tried to go into St. Lucia and just run up on their island and just go there and just set up shop, I think Christian said this earlier, I would be arrested. If I tried to do that in Mexico, I would be arrested. I cannot go anywhere and just set up shop and just say, yeah, I'm going to take the tax dollars from the people that are locally here and just do whatever I want to do here. And it's completely fine for me to be here and just have a life. Like, so I just think that that's this whole conversation with the people who stand with illegal immigration. I think that that's pretty quite crazy. That you think we can do this anywhere else in the world, but when it comes to America, you know, everybody should just be able to walk on into this country. And so also too, looking at what Christian was talking about, you know, things happening in Black communities. I actually work with young people who get incarcerated. Okay. And 97% of my caseload are Black youth committing crimes such as murder, shooting, and gang violence,
Please
and all
be careful
types of
with the
things.
language. TikTok language, you can't say some
I'm
words.
sorry. You're right. You're right. I'm sorry. It's my first time on here, so I apologize. Pew pewing, I think somebody said earlier, so I do apologize for that. So pew pewing, those kind of things, and 97% of my caseload is with Black children committing crimes, and they also, and let me tell you something, when they get caught with a pew pew on them, which more than likely was probably by a white officer, those kids are making it to my desk because they're still alive. Those white officers don't pew pew them and take them out of this world. They didn't take their life. They're still alive to even make it to my desk so that I could work with those Black kids and then try to guide them into a better direction so they don't keep making the same decisions that they were making before. Okay, so when we want to talk about some statistics and these things that are going on, and you want to just blame everything about, oh, well, it's dangerous out here for white people, or when you're living around white people, and just make it seem like everywhere else is very safe, I beg to differ. I stand with Christian, where it's very dangerous in a lot of different neighborhoods, even when it comes to when it comes to Black people. Let me say this real quick. I'll end with this.
I gotta get time.
And I have a lot of white coworkers that I have worked at different agencies that serve these Black kids with all their heart and might to try to get these Black kids on the same page and a direction so that they could be successful in life. So you can call me a bootlicker and a coon and all that stuff that you want to, but I see what's going on out here, and I ain't rocking with none of that stuff that you were saying disrespectful to me. And also with y'all not standing up for illegal immigration. So you can miss me with all that.
Cool.
Okay.
Smitty, can I
So
ask
real
one
quick.
question?
Real quick. Let's do this. Real quick, Carolina, because I think Swan
Okay.
wants to jump in. And again, I just want to keep it going conversational. We got about 15 minutes, y'all, though. So let's make the comments quick as we can on both sides, please. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Oh,
So do you mind if I ask him one quick question? Because it's not even for dialogue, and it'll probably set you up for this. So I want to preface this by saying St. Lucia is an upper middle income country. And prior to this year, they had a denial rate of only 26%. So that's interesting. I just want to know, Deuce, how do you feel about the fact that St. Lucia has been added to the list of people being banned from getting visas to come here, since your wife was able to get in when it was easy for people to do so, and now people from that country can't do it anymore? Just curious.
I don't have any feelings about it. Like the president of the United States or any president of any country has to do what is necessary to make sure that the people of that country is protected. Okay, so once that's done, it is what it is. That's done. That's what it is. But you're not answering my question or saying anything to when I say you can't go to any other country in this world and just set up shop like what you guys are advocating for to happen in the United States. You just keep passing that, but you don't talk about it when it comes to anywhere else.
I'm gonna let
Okay,
Swan
well,
come in
I
now.
missed that. Then I missed that. Then.
Okay,
I'm
you
sorry.
missed it.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Deuce, I'm American Indian. I don't think white people have a right to be here, so I don't think they should be making laws on who get to be here. So I will advocate for Black and brown people coming as much as they want and get the colonizers the fuck off my land. Okay, I'll let Swan take over.
Go ahead, Swan.
But that's the reality, though, and that's the issue. The reality is what the reality is.
Let's do this. Let's to be fair, let's frame Deuce's question. Let's let Swan, if you could take Deuce's question about what if as Americans we went to another country.
Yeah, I can answer that real quick,
go
and I have
ahead.
a question for him. So yeah, I here's the thing. When we talk about the circumstances that people in other countries are living in, it is not the same. It's not the same. We know that ever since the 1400s, Spain, Portugal, European countries have been exploiting Black and brown countries. That is the only way that they can sustain themselves. There is not one predominantly white or historically white country on the planet that can sustain itself. They all participate in the exploitation of Black and brown countries. So for you to phrase a question like that and say, well, what is it like when you go to other countries? You cannot do that. It doesn't make any sense. It is intellectually dishonest in a conversation like this when we understand that there's a group who's in control of the IMF. Two groups, as a matter of fact. No one else has access to that. If we are talking about going to a country like on the continent of Africa, it's not going to be the same, and it's not going to be comparable to people coming here to the United States. Now, I want to ask you a question. Since you said you work with children, the way that you demonize Black youth, to me, in my personal opinion, is absolutely disgusting. The ways in which young white children who mess up and don't end up in a detention facility because they have privilege, because people don't see them as criminals, the way that you criminalize young Black children is absolutely disgusting.
Being a teacher in the United States, I think people like you are the part of the problem. Now, let me ask you a question, right? Because there's some nuance here that we can't leave out of the conversation. Do you know what the school to prison pipeline is?
Yes, very familiar with it. You can go ahead.
Can you explain it out? Nope. I want you to explain it out to us. What is the school to prison pipeline?
You can go ahead. You can go ahead and explain it.
No, Deuce, you had a lot to say about black children. Now, why don't you rectify this?
What I told you.
Hold
I
on.
told you was this. No.
Wait a minute,
What
Deuce.
I told
Let me
you
answer
was
my
the
question. Let me ask my
statistics.
question.
If
Hold
you want
on.
to talk, ma'am, you can go ahead.
Let me
and talk.
ask my
That's fine. That's
question,
what I
and then
invited
I
you
will
to
be
do.
quiet. Let me ask my question, and then I will be quiet. In front of 686 people, the way that you lick the boots of white people, but the way that you demonize young black children is absolutely repulsive. Okay?
That's
My question
fine.
to you, listen, my question to you is very specific. Since you work with young black children, you should know what I'm talking about. Explain to us what the school to prison pipeline is, please. Go ahead.
That's not a quick. You're telling me to explain something. I said to you, you can go ahead and explain it, ma'am. You have the floor.
I think it's
You don't
crazy.
know.
Hey, hold on. So real
You don't
quick.
know.
And
But Deuce,
and
you said that you worked with that population. Just explain to
Hold on,
us
hold on,
what it
y'all.
is.
Hold on. Let's let Deuce have an opportunity. If you don't want to explain it, that's fine. But just if you want to just maybe if you want to address what Swan was saying about.
First of all, for one, I'm not going to have to answer your questions when you continue to call me a bootlicker and also say that I am the problem when I know what I do, and I'm telling you the statistics of what I know in the big city in which I live. So to continue to call me out of my name and disrespect me, and then say I have to answer your question when you have the floor, I don't have to do that. So you can answer and say whatever it is that you need to say. I don't have to do that, ma'am. I don't have to do that. This is a conversation. You can go ahead and have the floor, and you can say whatever it is that you need to say. But I know the statistics and what I do with what I do here, and I also said that these young people make it to my desk safely while you're trying to demonize all white people. So you're trying to demonize white people, and I'm telling you that here in this big city in which I live with young black people, that 97% of my caseload is black. Okay, and we work with these young people thoroughly and their families to get them on the right track so that they don't continue to make the same criminal decisions that they made in the past. We do that, as well as my white co-workers. But you're trying to demonize white people that arrest these kids, as well as white people who work with these kids. And I'm telling you that I disagree with you, and I believe that you're wrong. But I'm not going to have to answer your questions while you also call me a bootlicker. I don't have to do that, man. I'm not obligated to do that.
Sure. I'll explain to people what it is if you don't mind, Smitty.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
And
so we're
then just
talking
real quick. Yeah, go ahead, Swan. I'll make an announcement at the end. There's some folks that have
Yeah.
issue with that term specifically. I'll address that at the end of the live. I want to do that. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah, Deuce, I think the problem here is that you're not paying attention to the ways in which you demonize young black children, and you trying to pedestalize the white police officers that keep them alive. The bar is that low, bro. What are we talking about? You sound ridiculous. Unfortunately, these children have to be amongst you and your white coworkers who do not see them as human beings. You can't possibly tell me that you see them as human beings if that is how you're going to frame them, right? When we talk about the school to prison pipeline, you can go on mute with all that huffing and puffing, please. Thanks. Yeah, the school to prison pipeline, we're talking about policies and practices that push students, especially from disadvantaged backgrounds, which will primarily be non-white children, out of classrooms and into the criminal justice system through harsh discipline, zero tolerance rules, and increased police presence, leading to higher dropout rates, incarceration. It disproportionately affects young black children, right? This funneling prioritizes punishment over education, right? With factors like underfunded schools, implicit bias, and racial stereotypes fueling a cycle of disengagement and criminalization rather than support, creating a pathway to future incarceration, right? You know that there are cities that exist here in the United States where they take into consideration how many young black boys are in the school system, and they make sure they have enough jail cells for them, right? You are missing a huge part of the picture here, which is racism and white supremacy. The fact that you sit here and say that, oh, well, the white police officers are bringing them alive, at least they're doing that, shows that there's a problem. It shows that there's a problem. And yes, I've said some things about you, absolutely, in defense of young black children. Why? Because we live in a nation to where the pew pew that unalived Trayvon Martin, that George Zimmerman used, was auctioned off for $250,000. Was that one of the nice white people that live in your neighborhood, Deuce? The pew pew that unalived Trayvon Martin was auctioned off for $250,000. They don't see the humanity in young black children. And for you as a black man to dehumanize them and demonize them in that way without taking into consideration their circumstances is absolutely disgusting.
Can I
You
speak?
gotta help to those
Yo,
children. You are a
well,
problem. Stop talking while I'm talking.
Can I speak?
Stop. Can you stop talking while I'm talking?
yeah, I'll give you time, Christian. Let me just let Swan land the plane. Go ahead, Swan.
The ways in which you demonize these young black children, knowing that we still live in a country where the pew pew that unalived Trayvon Martin went on sale for $250,000 is a goddamn shame. So yes, I was rude to you. Yes, in defense of them, absolutely. 100 times. I'll do it over 100 times again. Absolutely.
Okay, let me let Christian. Go ahead, Christian.
So I feel like two things can be true at once. Number one, I don't feel like that man is demonizing the kids in the black community. He just said that he works with these kids every day. This is something that he sees day in and day out. So I feel like he has the right to speak on that. That's number one. But also, you're giving a lot of people a pass on what decisions they're actually making because of whatever circumstance that you want to continue to let black people or brown people continue to blame choices that they make every day. And I'm telling you right now, I'm trying to like be as politically correct as possible, but these choices and a lot of this is ingrained in our culture. We glorify it. You know, we praise people for walking around with a pew pew. Like a lot of this is just in black culture, right? And as long as we don't hold people accountable and say, well, you know what? Yes, these things happened hundreds of years ago, and there might be some systems in place. There might be a school to prison pipeline, but there's also a lot of other programs and opportunities for black people to succeed that they are not taking advantage of. You feel me? Like they're actively choosing the opposite, which is landing them in this man's office. And if we don't start taking accountability for that part, we're not going to see anything change. If we keep pacifying the issue with, oh, well, this happened and we keep giving people the scapegoats, bro, like it's 2026. You feel me? Like I feel like you're enabling people from the culture who run into these situations instead of holding them accountable. Like I said, anytime that I've had interactions when it came to the police, 9 times out of 10, I was somewhere I shouldn't have been or doing something that I haven't. When things changed, when I changed how I moved and I stopped doing certain things, I didn't have interactions and running with the police. And that came from me taking accountability, not for me saying, oh, well, the system landed me here and I have to deal with this. Like, growth does not come from you being comfortable. So, I mean, that's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Real quick, because I do have to go. I got 2 minutes. Covey wanted to come up and say one thing, and I do want to address the comments that were made to Deuce. I do want to address that. I see a couple people that have a problem with me not stepping in when Swan and Black Eyes, what's going on, bro? And Carolina made that comment, so I do want to address that. But let me let Covey get a quick sentence in. Got to be quick, fam, because I cannot miss my flight. Go ahead.
Swan, I really, really respect you and everybody else who's black on the panel. But stop, like, people need to stop wasting time on sellouts. I just wanted to say this, okay? Sellouts have always existed. People who snitched on black people to slave catchers, people who snitched on black people, who literally captured black people and sold them to Europeans, enslavers. Sellouts have always existed. I just wanted to say this, Smitty. I've noticed a lot of black people are unfortunately spending way too much time on motherfucking sellouts, okay? Sellouts have always existed. The reason as to why Europeans colonized Africa is because there were sellouts. And I can say this and I won't even, I don't care. Deuce and Christian are just sellouts. They're no different than the black people in West Africa who decided to work together with the Europeans to sell slaves. They're no different than the people who sold out black people to slave catchers. They are no different. And people need to stop wasting their time trying to educate sellouts who are very well willing to sell out their own people for their own benefits. I just wanted to say this, please. Christian and Deuce are no different than those sellouts. And sellouts are the reason as to why we're colonized. Stop focusing on them. Thank you very much.
All right, so real quick, thank you for coming up. Thank you everybody for coming up. I got to go, but I do want to address, right, the idea of, okay, Smitty, why did you allow someone to call someone else a bootlicker, sellout, blah, 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 blah. Why is that okay or not okay? Now, listen, I try not to censor anybody, okay, with what they say or not. I may disagree. I may say, well, if I was a panelist, I wouldn't have said that. However, to be called a bootlicker, sellout, whatever, blah, 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 is not dangerous to Black people. However, the same people that have a problem with me not addressing that had no problem when Christian talked about Black culture being violent, which is 10 times, 50 times more dangerous to Black people than being called a sellout, a coon, whatever you may want to say. And so I have a problem, right, with those, okay, that are angry with that piece of it, but say nothing, right, when much more harmful rhetoric is being spread about the Black community. I have a problem with that. If you want to criticize me on both sides, that's fine. I have no problem, right? As a host, I know I'll be criticized. I have no problem with that. But you have to at least be consistent. Again, it's not that I like it, right? I might not have said that same language that Carolina or Swan said, but I allow far more dangerous things to be said than that. So with that being said, love you guys all. Y'all take care. I got to go. Bye.
Love you, and I apologize for.
Not because I made fun of him for the collage that he made of the girl, but Dylan, I apologize for making fun of your date. I think it's actually a really